Hey everybody, this is Chris, and before I get into this video, I just want to say this is take two because my last version was too long. It was a whole 30 minutes, and some people just could not endure that. It was torture, I'm sure. So before I go into anything, I just want to first say in the comment section of this video, the very first comment, I will pin two things. I'm going to pin a timestamp that you can just fast forward to and skip all this right here and get straight to the facts. That way people with a short attention span, or they just don't want to hear anything else, you can skip straight to that point right there. The second thing I'm going to add in that first pinned comment is a YouTube channel, and I want to give this guy a shout out because he likes to troll and leave comments on my videos that, you know, I'm very boring, I'm painful to listen to, all these kind of things I'm babbling on. So I really encourage you to go visit Jaybird. His channel, he happens to have the Xeno 2 flight review. So he's got the Xeno 2. He lives down in Florida, and he's got a flight review of like 8 minutes where he's flown over some nice water in a safe area, following the safe rules of flight by our laws here. And he just must be too busy to actually show the Xeno 2 or do an unboxing or anything like that. And in fact, he's so busy, he's even turned off all his comments. So I'm going to put a link to his video since he loves to visit my video so much, or my videos so much, and leave his comments and then stir up stuff by talking into other people's comments. So since he's a big fan of mine, I'm going to give a shout out to his channel, invite you to go by there and give him a thumbs up on his beautiful Xeno 2 flight review. And I'm sure you'll see an unboxing from him maybe very late January, probably February, when he gets around to it. So but on my channel, so now those of you know, you can leave, you can skip forward, and you can get right into the specs. So just read that first comment down in the bottom of the video, and that'll get you straight to where I read off of this paper. But I'm going to say to the rest of you that one thing I'm very proud of is my charities. And the Xeno 2, I'm an affiliate for GearBest. The Xeno 2, with my links through everybody's purchases, has helped me move forward towards a goal that is very important to me, for Pittsburgh's Children's Hospital, for children that are receiving treatment and that are stuck in that hospital for long-term cancer care. This goal of $2,000 is going to buy them a lot of gifts of tablets and things like that. So I'm very proud of that, and I am extremely thankful to my members and my subscribers for clicking my links and making it possible, which you will see in the future. But you will also hear me talk about it from time to time. So anybody that is watching this video, if that's too much for you to endure, then you just can't take it. I have one suggestion. Don't leave a comment, first of all, because usually what comes out of your mouth is just downright rude. The second thing would be, do not subscribe to my channel. Do yourself a favor. Don't subscribe. Don't click on my thumbnails and watch my videos. It's very simple. So I'm going to talk about these things from time to time in my videos, and I'm going to talk about something as simple as this drab wall behind me. And the reason I've done that in videos is because I've got a member and a subscriber to my channel who's taken days and hours out of his personal time to make me something very special for that wall that I am sure I am going to love and be very proud of. So that's why I've brought up my drab wall behind me that used to have the landing pad on it. And I'm also happy that I'm going to be making an upgrade to it, because this is a drone channel after all. And it doesn't even look anything like drones. I don't, like some people have stacks of boxes behind them of every drone they bought. I'm not going to do something like that, but I'm going to hang some drones up on the wall. I'm going to put shelves up and, you know, put some antique cameras up there that I own and some different things. And the piece of art or whatever it is that this member and subscriber is taking his time, his valuable time to make for me. So I can't wait to see whatever it is and put it up on that wall and show everybody else. So those are the things that are important, and you can say passionate to me, and I will bring them up and I'll talk about them in my videos, and we'll drag the video out a little bit like I've done right here. So again, if that's too much for you, you know what to do. So let's talk about what I'm going to say, share with you, and that's going to be some features and some functions that Hubsan just has not published. They have not talked about, some of which we have figured out in videos of theirs or through the pictures of the quad that we've seen. But this thing is out for pre-sale. You want to show everything it has. So that's what this video is about. I've been talking to Hubsan and I've been getting information. They popped one on me that I didn't even know about or ask about. They offered the information, and I have to say I'm pretty confused over it. So we're going to talk about that as well. So now that I've gone on and on babbling, you go watch the video and enjoy. Thank you. All right, everybody, so we're going to talk about some important specs here and features that have not been talked about from Hubsan. So before I get into that and tell you what I've learned and answer some of the questions that some of you have asked, like about the micro SD card specs, before I get into that, I'm just going to show you this just like I did in my first attempt to this video and explain something to you. $100 of this Benjamin right here. Why am I showing you this? Because poor Ben doesn't buy a lot in today's world, but for the Xeno 2, he'll actually buy you a lot. Between now and January 1st, you're going to save $100 on this quad. You're going to get it for $399. And then after that, the price goes up. Definitely $100. So it's going to go up at least to $499, but what can that buy you today with your Xeno 2? It can actually buy you, and this was pointed out by a subscriber to my channel in my last attempt at this video. He made a very good point. This Benjamin right here, this can buy you 2 spare batteries and a bag for your Xeno 2. So that's a lot to get, because we know how expensive these batteries get, but when they're sold separately and not in a package like they are now, we know they're also hard to get in certain countries. So if you can order it with your Xeno now with the money you're saving, that's a bonus. So just want to point that out to you. And again, my affiliate link is at the bottom of this video in the description. And I appreciate you clicking on that and making your purchase through my link, because it will go towards good things that you're going to see here in the future on my channel. But let's get into these specs. I don't understand Hubsan. I am so happy with a lot of what I have on this paper, but I would think that they would advertise this a little bit more. And I've been talking to somebody at Hubsan and asking questions, asking some of the questions that you guys have asked me, and I'm getting answers. But then he offered me up one piece of information that I wasn't aware of that the Xeno had. And I've spent 2 days talking to him, because I only get 10-15 minute windows. And I spent 2 days talking to him, and I'm still kind of confused as to what it is. I know what it is, but I don't know where it's at or exactly how it's going to work. So we'll get into that. But the first item on my list here that I am extremely happy about and so proud of is all because of this channel right here, my subscribers mainly, and my group members mainly. If you recall, I asked that Hubsan give us a separate app, because if you have all your quads on one app and you do an update to one, you can mess up another. And that has been done with the H501A in the past and completely rendered it useless for a period of time. We don't want that to happen with our Xenos because we love them, and we don't want to not be able to use our app with the quad. So, or for the Xeno 1 where you have to have the app. So, or the Xeno Pro for that matter. You don't have anything on the controller to tell you any information. So we don't want to mess that stuff up. And sure enough, after I said that, people started messaging Hubsan. They started sending emails, and Hubsan responded and said, yes, we're going to give you a separate app. So I'll believe it when I see it, because I haven't downloaded it. Hasn't been available yet, but once it's available and I download it, it's called Hubsan X or X Hubsan 2 app. Once I see that, I'll believe it. But until then, we'll just have to wait and see. So very happy to hear that. The other thing I want to say is I just want to touch base on the optic flow topic. There is definitely no, I'm not optic flow, the obstacle avoidance. There's definitely no obstacle avoidance on the Xeno 2. In the future, you know that's where Hubsan's going to go, but it's just not going to be on the Xeno 2. So we have no obstacle avoidance. What we do have is two types of sensors. We have optic flow. These are all, everything's on the belly of the quad. And what we have is optic flow, which measures visual motion. Okay? So we all pretty much were asking for this, and Hubsan delivered on it. So that's very good. That's going to give us our low altitude stability. And then the other thing is the TOF sensor. It's a time of flight sensor. And it's not just another name for ultrasonic sensor. It's actually a different type of sensor. A lot of people think that what they have underneath there is a ultrasonic sensor, which is it travels through sound waves. That's not the type of sensor we have. The TOF sensor, what it does, and it, for everything I've read on paper and stuff from Googling it to death, it is a far better sensor than the ultrasonic sensor. And that's because it emits a light beam. And this is, naked to the human eye, you can't see it. But it emits a light beam for getting its readings and its measurements. So that's how that transmits. So I'm very interested to see how the Xeno does with this, and hopefully the programming behind it is done right to where both it and the optic flow sensors work the way they should. So that's the type of sensors we definitely have on the Xeno 2. And I want to touch base real quick on the removable camera. The removable camera cannot be used to be taken off and then fly your quad. I was kind of hoping that it was just for beginners who don't want to damage that very fragile camera and gimbal, and be able to fly without it in line of sight and kind of get their bearings and get their feet wet with the Xeno 2, and then when they're confident, hook that battery up and start flying and have confidence and not worry about crashing into anything, because we all know a lot of people crash these quads. So I'm sorry to say Hubsan's told me you have to have the camera in place for it to connect and be usable. So without the camera, supposedly, we just can't fly. We have to have the camera. The camera's sole purpose is to be removed for service purposes only. So I'm very happy to hear that, because I work on Xenos, and if I don't have to take the quad apart, number one, I don't have to do a video on it. I don't have to do a tear down just to fix the camera. I can simply take the camera off, fix it, put it back, and then send it back to the owner. And if you have completely destroyed your camera, you can just buy a new one, and then you can put it on without tearing your quad down. So it's still a good thing, but its sole purpose is service only. So the other thing is the SD card. The maximum SD card, micro SD card size is 128 gigabytes. So you got plenty of storage in using that card. And then what I recommend is you get a high-speed card, and Hubsan says up to 100 megabytes per second. I would imagine that's 100. They measure these cards by megabytes, not megabits. Yeah, megabytes and megabits, they're written up the same, but the B's capitalized for bits, I think, and then smaller case for bytes, or the other way around. But you can correct me on that one in the comments, because I'm not 100% sure. But I do know that the card I use for my other 4K drones, it's a high, ultra high. It's a high-speed card for reading and writing for ultra-high definition is what I was trying to spit out there. But what I use is, and this, I'm not saying you have to use this, but what I use is the SanDisk. I can't talk today. SanDisk Extreme Plus, and that's a class 3. You've got the U and the 3. I'd hold it up, but you just can't really focus on it and see it. The video speed is V30, and that's up to, the read and write are both up to 90 megabytes per second. So that's the maximum SD card that you can put in there, is 128 gig. So now we're going to get onto my second page, where it's more interesting, and you have the button on the front of the controller. Very front of the controller, this button is called FNS, and those are your 3 flight modes. You have film mode at 1 meter per second. That's a creeper for cinematic shots. You have normal mode, which is 12 meters per second, which is the maximum flight speed of the Xeno Pro and faster than the regular Xeno. And then you have sport mode, which is an amazing 20 meters per second, twice the speed of the original Xeno. Which just gets over 9 meters a second. So 20 meters a second, we're going to have a fast flyer. It's not going to be cinematic at that speed, but if you want to get out there and just pump out some range, you've got something to get you out there really fast. So they've really done good with the speeds on those, and I imagine within the app we will still have all our fine tuning, where you can tweak the yaw and such to fine tune it the way you want it. So I imagine that's just going to be in something like film mode. I don't know if that function will work in normal mode. It definitely won't work in sport mode, I would imagine. And then the most interesting button, and I say most interesting because it's just not been advertised. It has not been talked about, and that's the button on the back of the controller to the right top corner, right next to the antenna, and it's called FN. It's the FN button. It's just a single action button. So I've been told what this button is a programmable button, and that's great. It's always nice to have these little programmable buttons to where we don't have to go through into the app menu. We just hit a button and it does what we want it to do. So it's a one action button. So whatever you program it to do from the list of things they have available in the program list, that's what it's going to do. So it's by default, if you have your gimbal pointed down, you click that button and your gimbal goes to the home position immediately. The other thing they're going to add to that is light features. So you'll be able to, and I'm just taking a guess here, you'll be able to turn off your lights. You'll have your flashing lights, and then maybe just do a solid feature of your lights. So run them solid, run them flashing, or turn them off by clicking that button. So that's one that they have. I don't know if it's completed or in the works, but that's one option they have for that button. And then they'll add things through different updates to give us more options to program that button to do. So hopefully some camera features will be in there, maybe a default settings for your camera. So if you adjust them and it turns out not to be good, you click it and it just goes back and resets the camera parameters. So something like that would be nice. Now, the one that has me most baffled out of everything, they offered this information up, and it brought so many questions to where I wish they didn't even tell me, because I don't know where this is. I have looked at every picture almost with a magnifying glass trying to find this plug-in. They have a plug-in port of some sort. They say underneath the quad. Well, there's nothing underneath the quad because you have a battery, and then you have your TOF sensor and your optic flow sensor. So I don't know where this thing is. I'm thinking maybe it's not your typical 6-pin. Maybe it plugs into the micro USB, or underneath that little flap where the micro USB is. Maybe there's another port for this plug-in. But what this plug-in is supposed to do is it's for third-party stuff, third-party attachments that you would attach to the Xeno or the Xeno 2. Like LED lights you could add and just plug in, and then I guess you could turn them on and off and control them with the app. And then the other thing would be is if you want to connect and put a servo on there. And I've never done this, but I've seen in videos on YouTube where people use their drones to bait fish, and it's done with a servo motor that you hit a button, the servo motor opens up and drops your bait, and then they go fishing. So that's something really interesting about this, but I challenge anybody to find a picture or anything that shows this plug-in port. I mean, if it's a plug-in, you're going to need a plug-in port. So I can only imagine that it's probably USB, or maybe hidden underneath that cover where the USB is. So that's going to be very interesting and something I'm looking forward to. Last thing is just something I wanted to bring up with the future possibilities of the Xeno 2. With all the hardware specs that this has, and how they didn't just give us a standard baseline of stuff. That, you know, we've got 4K at 60 frames per second. We've got good imaging chips or chipset. So I don't see any reason why they can't go and add a zoom feature to this. And another commenter from my video prior to this, a subscriber, he left a message saying, well, we would have to have a wheel or something like that on the controller. So that's true. If we wanted zoom, we would have to have that. But again, it's something they could simply just add within the app, to where you scroll on the app screen and get that zoom feature. It would be much smoother and better controlled with a wheel switch on the controller, but not seeing that on the controller now for that separate function. I don't know that they even are thinking about that in the future, but with the hardware they're delivering within the quad, it has the capability to do that. So that's something to maybe put into a Xeno Pro, where they change the controller a little bit, add another wheel, and give us the option to have that zoom. I imagine a lot of people would like that. Some people are into mapping. Well, that's what the Xeno 2 it should be capable of doing. That's something that a feature they could add within the app for us to do mapping. I don't do it personally, but people do, and that would be a good feature if you do mapping, if you do work on the side with your quad and you do mapping and get paid for that. You don't want to spend high-end money. Xeno 2 should be able to deliver that. So that's a future possibility. And then with this detachable camera, you always have the possibility of a thermal camera. So some people are really into that with the Parrot Anafi. I have my Parrot Anafi thermal right behind me, and it's a cool feature. I do like it. I like to see how much heat is coming out of my house and how much money I'm losing in my winter heating bill. So but it's amazing what it does show you. Or a person in the woods, you can pick up and detect their body, or a deer, or any animal. So that's something that Hubsan could deliver to us by having this detachable camera. A thermal camera would be really cool to buy separately and just take off the regular camera, put that in place, and use the thermal camera, or one that has both on it to where you could just do a camera upgrade. So those are the future possibilities that I thought up, just based off the specs and hardware and everything this thing has. And remember, you'll save $100 that you could spend to put towards other stuff that you're going to end up buying anyhow when you buy the Xeno 2. So might as well just go ahead and save that $399 on the quad and then put that Benjamin towards more stuff. So sorry, it's not a Benjamin anywhere but the USA, but you know, anybody else that doesn't use US currency, your equivalent of old Ben here, which is probably a queen on yours in the UK. I don't know what it is in UK, but somebody will tell me. I know somebody will. So that's it. I am just so excited about the Xeno 2, and I just want to make sure I end the video the right way in telling you what you should know and expect. You should expect some things not to work. You know, like that FN key on the back, the button, the FN button. It might not work when we first get it. You know, just like the normal and sport mode didn't work and still doesn't work on the Xeno. Those are things that we can expect to look for and possibly have happen on the Xeno 2. It's just a matter of push to get them to fix these things. And the other thing is, you know, there's going to be bugs. But all I care about is I want stability and I want a good camera. If I have stability to where I can fly and get good cinematic shots with that camera, then I'm going to be happy. The rest, things like features that I don't even use, if they don't work, then you know, Hubsan needs to work on that and bring those to us in the future. So that's just another area of something to think of when you're purchasing the Xeno. Your expectation level, I guess, is what I'm saying. And if you don't put it way up top to where everything should work, because let's face it, most of our drones when we buy them, not everything works. They have issues, they have bugs, and that's something that a lot of us know going into this when we make these pre-sale purchases to save a little money. We are going to be test pilots. We're test pilots for every quad we buy. So that's something to think about. The other thing is delivery. I'm going to just go into defense of GearBest. If this ends up going later, it is not the fault of GearBest. GearBest is just waiting for Hubsan to send it to them. So Hubsan has taken some extra time, and it's already been delayed once. They're taking some extra time, or they were taking some extra time to work on the app. I'm appreciative of this. As long as they are working to improve something, I'm not going to complain about a delayed delivery, and I certainly wouldn't be canceling my order, just so you can get back in line later and wait even longer. So I would say it's probably safe to say, if history repeats itself, it's probably safe to say we'll have at least one more delay and probably take us into February on delivery. I don't know if this is happening. I have not heard anything. As far as I'm hearing, we're still in January for delivery, but I'm just saying, be real, think about it. It's happened before. It's a highly likely possibility that it can happen again, and we can go into February before we get our delivery. So I'm a reviewer. Usually reviewers get there sooner. They do their reviews and introduce it to you and all that, but I'm in no rush to get it. I mean, I'm excited to get it and I really do want it, but if I have to wait with everybody else, I'm nobody special. I will wait, and I will just be happy when it arrives. So that's just all I'm passing on to you. So you know, you can be aware that the possibility is there for these things to happen. So it's not the end of the world. It's nothing catastrophic. It's all something we can live with. We're all grown men here playing with our toys. We're not little kids, so we don't need to throw tantrums if this does happen. So I will keep you up to date on things like shipping and any other things I find out on the Xeno 2. And if you are new to my channel, sorry if I came off rude in the beginning of this, but it's just it gets to you sometimes when you're doing your videos, and then you've got these commenters that don't realize what it takes to put out a video, and just want to rip it all up and make a nuisance of it, which they won this time because it's the first time I've ever deleted a video on my channel. But it effed me off. And those viewers or subscribers, if they were, I doubt they were, they left their thumbs down. I blocked them out from after the comments that they made because it's just not appropriate. It's not appropriate on some of these comments, and it's just downright rude for somebody who's taking their time to put content out for you that is not false, that is actual, something that I put my time into getting right. I'm not just putting content out to bring in revenue. So if you like that type of channel, I can give you a list of people to go watch who just put out crap just to put it out, and say I'm the first to show you this quad or this firmware update, and then in the end deliver you nothing but garbage. So if you want that list, I can give you those people, and you can go watch those. So anybody new here? Anybody? Click that subscribe button, hit the bell for future content, and for all of my loyal subscribers, thank you very much for watching my video, listening to my rant, putting up with my long blah blah blahs, and supporting my charities #1. So thank you all. Leave that thumbs up on your way out, and we'll catch you on the next video. Take care and have a happy new year.